Hi, this is Jeremy Kellett, Director of Recruiting at Oakley Trucking, and I'm your host for this podcast. This is the Oakley Podcast, Trucking, Business, and Family. Welcome to another episode here. We are in the studio in North Little Rock, Arkansas, recording this one, and got my co-host, Miss Megan Cummings, sitting with me. What's
Hello,
going on?
everybody.
What you know today?
Nothing good.
Come
Not
on
yet.
now.
We haven't talked to Ben yet, so
Yeah.
maybe after.
It'll
I
get
will.
good with Ben.
Yeah.
We're going to hear some good stories from Ben. So once again, we're bringing one of our owner operators to you, Ben Huminski. He is from Arkansas, or lives in Arkansas now. I want to hear his story where he came from, but we always try to give you these owner operator stories that are here, so you can see what this place is about. And you know, sometimes I forget, Megan. I've always concentrated that. Only truck drivers listen to this podcast, but you know that's not the case.
Absolutely not.
We have a lot of employees at Bruce Oakley that listen to the podcast and like to give them information too. So, you know, my wife listens to it as she's walking. So, I'm like,
Hey,
who
Elizabeth.
knew? Who knew? But I think it's I get focused on, you know, talking to truck drivers and our owner operators and stuff, but you know, I think we have to consider our other listeners that are out there. I mean, just a lot of different people into it. I mean, look at all the people that come up at the truck show.
Yeah.
That hey, listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with us. You know,
Lots of big wigs
it's
too.
pretty interesting.
They think it's really cool.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So
Yeah.
maybe get a new sponsor or two out of that.
Absolutely.
By the way.
Yeah. Really.
Talk to some. Yeah.
Okay.
Talk to some people about that. But it's just you know, I think what we try to do at this podcast is give just a variety of stuff to people. You know, to listen to. We've had products. We've had owner operators. We've had Aero Truck Sales president. We've had all kinds of different things, and I think it's just a variety of that helps increase our listeners and gives them a little something to look forward to. Now, you as my co-host, giving them a little something different.
Absolutely.
I know they've got to be tired of me.
We'll
I'm tired of me, Ben.
We'll give it a couple episodes before they're saying the same thing about me.
Yeah. We'll get you doing a solo one. That's what it is. That's what we'll get done.
A used semi-truck is a great way to kick off your career as an owner-operator on a budget, and buying from a reputable dealer like Aero Truck Sales ensures you're getting a reliable truck that fits your needs. They carry trucks from all the major manufacturers in the trucking industry and perform a thorough inspection of every truck on their lot to ensure safety and quality and give you confidence that you're getting a reliable truck that will last you for years at a price that you can afford. Being a longtime partner with Oakley Trucking and the Oakley Podcast, we trust them to provide our owner-operators with a truck that fits their needs and matches our qualifications. So whether you're a first-time owner-operator or just looking for a new-to-you rig, be sure to give Keith Wilson and Trey Visor a call at 573-216-6047 and let them know you heard it here on the Oakley Podcast.
But on today's episode, folks, I mean, we're sitting down with Ben Huminski, and one of our owner operators giving his story to you so you can actually, you know, hear what it's like from what our owner operators do at Oakley, what they like about it, what they don't, and how they got here. And I think it's good. So, Ben, welcome to the Oakley Podcast. Appreciate you sitting in with us.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me about Ben Huminski. Where's he from first? From family, hobbies?
So, born in Connecticut, raised in Florida. Joined the military when I was 21. And
Which branch were you in?
Army.
Okay.
And ended up in Alaska. Got to Alaska in 2004 and kind of stayed until 2020 when we moved to Arkansas.
Well, now, wait a minute.
That's a big jump.
I need a little more information.
My wife has family in Wisconsin, and I'm from Florida, and kind of were looking at a map, and Arkansas was right there, kind of about halfway.
When you were you stationed in Alaska?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So I've heard from a few different people that when you visit Alaska, it's just you either love it or you hate it, and a lot of people love it and just end up moving there. Is that what the?
Yeah,
But I want to know why you went to Alaska.
So my first duty station was in Fort Riley, Kansas, and when it snowed and got icy, they shut the roads down and nobody did any work. And so I was in Iraq re-enlisting, and I was like, Alaska has snow and ice a lot of the time. We're not going to do any work. So I re-enlisted for there. I mean, you know, and lo and behold, we run until it's 25 below zero. So I kind of learned my lesson, and I loved it.
Did you retire from the military, or was it a
Medically?
Okay, and then you just stayed in Alaska until
it's
you all
beautiful.
decided. Wow.
When I was getting out, I knew a guy who owned trucks, and I was like, I want to be a trucker. And he's like, oh, you do? I'll give you a job. And I thought, man, how be it? This is awesome. And well, first day I show up, I think I'm going to learn how to drive a truck so I can go get my CDL, and he hands me a broom. So I learned how to work on trucks. I learned from a lot of old school guys who, you know, have built this industry on their blood, sweat, and tears. And that was one of the things that drew me to Oakley. Was a lot of the Oakley guys I ran into when I was running down here were a lot of the older school mentality, give you the shirt off their back if it gets you going down the road again. You know, but we'll also sit down and share stories and lessons, and, you know, if you can keep your mouth closed long enough and your ears open, learn a thing or two. And that was one of the first things that I encountered with some of these guys with Oakley. And that's what made me want to, when I decided I wanted to give up my authority and find a place, find a home, that was one of the first things that I started doing.
Do you remember any of those people that you spoke with?
At the initial ones, no, because like it was, you know, you see them at a truck stop and you just share some information. It's like, okay, I'll put that in the back of my mind, and, you know, you run to another guy. But it was just the matter of fact that it was very consistent what their experience was, and it was like, hey man, like, hey, if you come here, you know, look for my truck, I'll help you whatever way I can, you know. And then I met some other folks along the way that really kind of, as I was getting ready to come over here, Olaf McTaggart's one of them.
Yeah.
Good guy.
He still, I'll call him with a question, you know, about anything, you know, and he answers, whether he's home and I'm like, but you're home. And he's like, and that's kind of the same thing I do with guys. If I give you my number, I don't care if you know, I love seeing other people be successful. You know, it's a good feeling, and to see them come over here and have that success.
Have you found that everything you were told before you leased on pretty much rings true?
For the most part. You know, when I first leased on, the first thing that somebody said to me was, man, I'm sorry you got that dispatcher. And I said, oh, okay. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to make my relationship with my dispatcher what it is. Just because somebody had a difference of opinion or a bad opinion doesn't make my opinion. I love my dispatcher. Like, I absolutely, I hope he has a good vacation. Like, you know, it's just, and then
it's weird how people just fit together different. I mean, the chemistry is different with some of them. So, I mean, one person can have a bad experience and the next person can love them.
And that's one of the things that I've learned is, don't let somebody else's experience drive your own. Yeah. Have your own experience. Live life as it is, you know. And I try to teach that to my kids. I try to share that with people. It's like, my experience may be different than yours. You know, it's okay. You know, live yours.
So take me back to the timeline there of Alaska. You were in Alaska.
Yep.
Then you came here, didn't you?
Yeah. I got my.
So how long you been here?
We moved to Arkansas in 2021.
Okay. So the whole time before that, you've been
in Alaska,
driving
truck, running heavy equipment, enjoying the great outdoors. I mean,
Is it like they show it on them TV shows?
As far as driving?
No, as far as living in Alaska.
Oh, yeah.
You ever watch any of those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's daylight
it's like a rule,
all day long.
or it's dark all day long.
It's not that bad. Summertime's more fun. I mean, wintertime, it's great. There's tons to do at the outside in the wintertime, but I absolutely love the summertime. You can be barbecuing with friends, and the next thing you know, at 3 o'clock in the morning, the sun's, you know, it's like dusk out, and then the sun starts rising again. You're like, you should probably go to. I used to golf all night.
Really?
Oh yeah, some of the best golfing I've ever done was up there.
Oh, don't tell Roger Carson that.
And I don't think of golfing in Alaska.
Me neither. I just think of snow in that one vampire movie where they're trapped on the island.
I just think about cutting wood all the time.
Or
I
that.
mean, there's a lot of it, but
Or the Northern Lights. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, the wintertime's great for that. It's some of the most amazing thing. I mean, one of the jobs I had up there was working in the Prudhoe Bay oil field, and met some really great people there. And I mean, it's a great company job, but I got bored, sitting around a truck all the time and not really doing a whole lot, from time to time. And then when COVID happened, it kind of killed the oil field for a little bit, and that's when I decided, I was like, now's the time to buy a truck. And my wife looked at me like I was, off my rocker, and then she said, okay, if that's what you want to do, I fully support you. And she has been supportive at every turn.
And then you said we're moving to Arkansas.
We talked about it because I started trucking slowed down when all the freight everything's kind of cyclical, and I was doing more trucking down here, and then I park the truck and fly back to Alaska. And she's like, well, why? Things are cheaper down there, and they definitely were from Alaska, and kind of picked a midway point, bought a house sight unseen, and that's been an adventure.
Are you still in that house?
Yeah.
That sounds great. Sounds like you love it.
I love it. I love it. Look, I have property. I see my kids thriving outside, loving being outside, exploring, playing baseball, just all those things. And it's like, in Alaska, it's great. You get hunting and fishing season, and then you get winter. But it's really kind of, you're very limited in what those activities are. And I've seen.
So how old are your kids?
6. I knew this question was coming.
Well, I would think a dad would know.
I got 4.
We didn't ask you what your wife's birthday was.
you got 4
I know
kids?
that what is. Yeah, I have 4 kids.
How long you been married?
7 years. I did that calculation earlier. I made sure I knew.
He's
What's your
listened to a
anniversary?
couple of episodes.
No, my oldest is 6. I have a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1.5-year-old.
The only one who's going to know if you're not right is your wife.
Yeah, I mean,
I know.
kids
No.
don't care.
But she'll call me on it, and I'm not. No. So
You said your wife was said, okay, if that's what you want to do, buy a truck. How important is it to have her support?
it's exponentially important. Without her, she takes on the hard role. Like, trucking's hard the day you leave and the days that I truck around Arkansas. Because I just want to beeline the hour home and go see my wife and kids.
Yeah.
But once I'm on the road, it's very task focused. This is my job. This is how I provide. So I have hard days. She has the hard day of the day that she finds out when I'm going to be dispatched out and hit the road again. She has the hard days when the kids are sick, or the baby's teething, or she doesn't feel good. She wears all of them. And so it's exponentially important to be on the same page, for me and in my marriage. And I am not one iota. I don't lose the fact that she has the hard job in this.
LubeZone has been servicing single trucks and truck fleets for more than 20 years across 12 locations nationwide. LubeZone specializes in quick, full-service oil changes that take approximately 30 to 40 minutes. They also offer tractor-trailer grease, gearbox service, generator service, reefer service, and DOT inspections. They aim to go the extra mile when it comes to quality control. This means your tractor is checked not only once, but 2 times to ensure all service and parts meet their guaranteed quality and standards. No other service center knows semi-trucks better than LubeZone. If your truck needs serviced, check out lubezone.com to find all of their locations, and when you stop by, let them know you heard it here on the Oakley Podcast.
Did you purchase the truck with intent to come to Oakley, or was it just happy coincidence?
My first truck? No, it was a 98 Peterbilt 379 that somebody had spray painted matte black, but it was paid cash, and we were running. I had some old timers that really mentored me in how to operate a business, because they taught me how to truck, and then them same old men were like, this is how you operate a business. It's all about relationships. It's all about customer service.
Is this the same guys that gave you the broom first day
Yeah,
of the job?
some of the same ones.
Yeah.
You know, before they sent me off to a trucking school up there, because, you know, you still got to go to school to get a license nowadays. And I mean, heck, I went to truck driving school and had to drive on windy mountain roads in the snow. It kind of taught me you can overcome a lot.
Right.
You know, and but yeah, it's just, you know, they say that you treat people right. You hire a driver, you make sure that that driver eats before you do. You know, and it's the same in any sort of trucking, whether you're teaching somebody or having somebody drive for you. There's just a lot of those they feel like they're antiquated principles, but I think they're important, and I find a lot of them here at Oakley. And that's what keeps me around, even on the hard days.
What kind of truck you own now?
Oh, what did I buy? I got a 2015 Peterbilt 579. The truck I came here with was a little bit older Freightliner Coronado. It was a heavy truck I took a lot of weight off of, and I was blessed that y'all said, hey, I could come over here. I said, I promise I'll get a lighter truck, and, you know.
So you've upgraded.
I've upgraded, yeah, and probably in the next year it'll be time to get something with a warranty, because I don't understand these computers and, you know, how to reset stuff, and, you know, it's a process, and I don't feel like skipping steps is necessarily always the right thing to do.
What's some of the biggest challenges of being an owner-operator?
Balancing. One of the hard things is you have really good weeks, and you want to still take the same percentage or the same amount, you know, and you need to put them good weeks away for the not so good weeks. It makes the not so good weeks a whole lot more tolerable. Mm-hmm. You know, it's, you know, maintenance. You know, if you get a truck and it's constantly breaking, you have to start looking. Either you just need to upgrade, you know, but it's like, my truck's in the shop now. I'm driving my sister's truck. And, you know, I mean, they're big bills. The shop labor rates are not cheap. Insurance isn't cheap for these shops, you know, and if you haven't put away for it can really put you in a bind real quick. You know?
Speaking of your lovely sister, Miss Marquita.
Yeah.
So was it her idea to come over? Did you just kind of nudge her in the right direction?
No, so she drove for me when I had my authority,
mm-hmm.
and it had always been her dream to go drive for Walmart. And I could tell that she was bored, and she likes driving back roads and doing back roadsy stuff. And
so she was driving for Walmart when she was in Alaska?
No, she moved to California.
Oh,
and,
gotcha.
And, you know, they couldn't recruit her out of California, so she now has an address of my address, and she's over here and, you know, loving it. She you know, all the things that she gets to do and experience, and she's taught me something, and it's a real important lesson. No matter how busy her life is and how chaotic things are, when she talks to you, you're the center focus of her world.
I can concur.
And
I can
it's
testify
such
personally.
an amazing trait.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
It's I wish that I could hold on to that all the time, and I'm like, wait, why am I messing with something else? I'm talking to somebody, you know, it's
yeah. Always in a great mood. You know, normally when I talk to people and they're going to Canada, sometimes they're in a good mood if I catch them at the right part of the day. But anytime I've spoke to Marquita, she's always been in a good mood, always had something nice to say. You know, when you are on the phone with someone and you can tell they're smiling.
Mm-hmm.
That's always how she sounds.
That's the way she is.
Yeah, just a ray of sunshine.
Yeah.
She's great.
She's an asset to anything she does. Customers, I called her as she was leaving the Shreveport yard. And she's like, hold on, I have to pull over. And she literally wrote down everyone's name and something about them to help her remember. And it's like, who knows when she's going to go back to Shreveport, but she wants that there. And I mean, that's such a quality that you don't find. And I know that
she wrote down the people at Shreveport that she just...
Everybody that works there that she encountered. Somebody's allergic to something. And see, I should know this, right? But it's like, because she told me everything, but it's like, I don't remember. I got all this other stuff. And I'm like, you know, when you find qualities in people and you just want to emulate them, that's one of those qualities that I'm like, I want more of that.
Were there drivers in your family before you guys, or was it just a happy coincidence that you both like doing the same thing?
Yeah.
Really?
Her side has some. We kind of, you know, the family history mixes.
Blended, yeah.
But she has some on her side, and I'm, you know.
Older sister or younger?
I mean, she's older, but she don't act it. Yeah, she's a couple of years older, but she don't act it.
And she pulls
an end
up with us.
Yep.
That's you know, that's always been challenging for a woman.
Oh, I know. I knew it would be a challenge for her. She overcome a phobia to put a dump trailer in the air.
Did she?
I knew that if the way that we mentor people here would not work for her.
I probably need to explain that why I said that, because y'all get some hate, but being more difficult for a woman, because it just is. I mean, over the years, over my experience, and I've leased on women to do it, and they'll come back and tell me that's too much for me to do. I just can't do all that. So that's why I said that. But
she laughs and giggles about, you know, putting bows back in. It's amazing. But she had a fear of trailers in the air. I've seen trailers go over. I know they're going to go over. And I knew that if she just got in her truck and came here, and I took her out for 4 or 5 days, you know, 2 weeks max or whatever, she probably would not have as much of a chance of success. Not because she couldn't do it, but because sometimes I just knew her well enough to know that she needed that time. So we team drove, I think, for 2 or 3 months. And, you know, her truck was here being used by some guys that were broke down to kind of help sustain their downtime. And she was overly impressive. You know, I mean, just she's so detail oriented, like she, you know, and it took that time. And, you know, she's taking people out and training people, and it's like, you know,
that says a lot.
I couldn't be more proud of her for overcoming that fear. Like,
yeah.
It's great.
Good.
You know,
y'all have business together.
Yes.
Y'all are in business together.
Yes.
2 truck, you drive one, she drives one over here, so it works out really good then.
Yeah. She brings me back from the edge when I start overthinking things. I know I could call my wife, and my wife's supportive. My wife also has a lot of other things going on, or I can call her, and she's like, well, you thought of this? Have you looked at it this way? And it's a whole lot easier stress-wise. I'm not losing as much hair.
Well, when someone's in the field, you know, they do what you do. They probably know, probably offer a little advice.
Yeah, a little more insight.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, I know you well enough to know that you just need to put your own oxygen mask on first before helping others. That's what she tells me all the time. I'm like, there needs to be oxygen in the tank too. And she's like, no, just listen to me. And I'm like, you know, it's real helpful.
What's the best and worst things about working at Oakley?
The best is the consistency of knowing that my check's going to be there. I don't have to go chasing money down. Yeah. You know, and I know what I make per mile. So like I know what I'm making as the week's going on.
So you know about what your check is going to be.
Yeah. If it's Thursday and I'm not happy with the way the week's coming out, I know I can make a phone call and say, hey, bud, like, I need a little bit more than this. You know, I get it. Might be a tight area. You know, I understand how freight is. And there's been times I'm like, look, I'm in a dead zone. I'm stuck here. What do we need to do?
Yeah.
Well, you know, deadhead. Cool. Let's split the difference. You know, I'm willing to work with my dispatcher, and he works with me, and it's like you know, I don't always have to be winning. I just have to be close to winning. Like, you know, if we break even here, we're good. And that's worked out real well.
Good.
The worst thing, really, is when y'all have me in Arkansas, because I just want to go home. I mean, really. I mean,
You get too close to home.
Yeah. I'm like, man, I realize, sometimes I got to work around Arkansas, but I'm like, oh, it's only 150 miles. I'm going home. It's real hard, pulling and sitting in Memphis or something. And I'm like, I got 10 hours. It's only 3 hours at the house.
Were you home for the solar eclipse?
I was.
That was Russellville was a hot spot.
Oh, wasn't it though?
It was.
I mean, so it was real nice. Like how sometimes things don't seem like they should be, and my truck's broke down, and I was like, man. And then I got to spend time at home, witness the solar eclipse with my kids. See
Oh,
the
so that wasn't planned. That was just a happy coincidence.
Yeah, my truck just wanted to go get a pedicure and some other things and get figured up. So, and it's been awesome. I mean, seeing my kid play baseball and just being around, it makes it even that much harder to want to go back out on the road. I'm like, I know I need to, but so, I told the dispatcher, I said, I'm in Arkansas. He's like, no, we're leaving.
We're gonna get you a load out of state.
Yeah. So he's like, you'll be in Wisconsin by Monday. It's like perfect, But I like being able to have a personal relationship. You don't have to be friends, but you can have a polite professional relationship and be not always just serious and in a bad mood.
Oakley Trucking is a 100% owner-operator company. We specialize in hopper bottom, end dump, and pneumatic trailers. We provide the trailer free of charge, and you provide the truck. We have a large customer base that reaches the whole United States as well as parts of Canada. Our owner-operators live anywhere from Texas to North Carolina to Pennsylvania to Wisconsin and everywhere in between, and we get them home weekends. We take it seriously when you join Oakley Trucking because we need you to be successful. Oakley offers great benefits and competitive mileage pay, so you know that when your wheels are turning, you're generating money no matter if you're loaded or empty. We understand that you want to make a good living and that you make our living. We only take on independent contractors, and to be honest with you, we are very particular on who we lease on. You must have a good driving record, good work history, and clean, dependable truck. So if you're interested in Oakley Trucking or just want some more information, you can go to oakleytrucking.com, listen to our weekly podcast, The Oakley Podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. A lot of people, though, that come from or want to have their own authority, be their own boss, find their own freight, do all of that. People are what would you tell people about coming to Oakley that they'll, a lot of them will think, oh, I got a dispatcher, I got to, pull their trailer, I got to go where they tell me to go, I got to be clean shaven and clean cut, and man, they got all these rules. You've done them both, right?
I have. So it's for me, it wasn't so much as you got to be clean shaven, you got to do this. I was concerned that I would get taken advantage of being leased on, right? Because it's kind of like entering a marriage of sorts. And so I kept my authority when I leased on. I said, I told my wife, I said, I'm just going to pay the insurance for 3 months because I feel like I want to make sure. It was a week and a half later I canceled my insurance and voluntarily revoked my authority. I got tired of chasing money. And nowadays, like when I was in Alaska, you just had to have money in reserve to pay yourself until your invoices came back. But you come down here and there's so much fraud that you get lined up with a factoring company, and I mean they have their purpose. But like for me, I didn't really care about getting my money the next day. I cared about making sure I wasn't getting taken advantage of by some fly-by-night brokerage. And but you're given a percentage of money that's not really there to give away at this, with what the freight market's doing, especially on the spot market. And it's like, I've met, multiple guys that were running their own authority or running under somebody, but kind of very similar to run under your authority. And it's like, they're like, yeah, I'm giving money away to all these different entities that's not there. And I'm like, look, I'll go wherever you want me to go. I don't have to route plan. It frees up time in my day to FaceTime my children when the truck stopped, to rest, to just decompress instead of when I had my own authority. Even when I was home, I was on load boards looking for loads. I was answering every phone call, and so I was never present with my wife and my kids. And it's like now when I go home, I'm like, hey Ryan, I'll call you. Don't worry. And then I don't have to answer my phone. And it's freeing. I can be present. I don't have to be attached to a computer or my phone or anything. I can put it in a drawer and not worry about it.
That explains it very well, I think, because a lot of people just think that they give up the power, and a lot of that. And I think, you explain it just right, because there is a lot that goes into what we do as a company when we provide all this stuff for our owner-operators, whether it's the trailer, that's huge in itself, that there's no trailer rent, nothing charging you. And then we have to deal with getting paid,
right?
Which we don't always get paid. Customers same way with a lot of them. So it is to where, and I say this all the time, Ben, but our goal is to take all that weight off of you. Just like you said, it's freeing, because we need you to concentrate on customer service and safety, and those two things are. Oh my gosh, those two things are enough for an owner-operator to worry about every day going down the road, just driving amongst the traffic and taking care of our customers. And that's hard enough to do, those two things right there. And that's I think that's why our system works real well with people, especially like you, that appreciate it and understand it. You've done both of them. And
there's something that Marquita taught me from Walmart, right? Because you get going down the road and somebody cuts you off, or they take you off, you're in traffic. There's lots of things that stress you out. And she says she was taught that every one of them cars is a customer. I don't know who that is that's in that car that sees Oakley, that maybe they do work with Oakley. Well, now they see Oakley, and so it's really, that brought it back for me. I was like, oh, I'm going to take that. That's a customer. That's not just somebody. Because you never know who your customers are. You never know where your customers are. They're not always just at the plant.
That's right.
And the load gets there when it gets there. Like, I want it to be there on time, but sometimes that just doesn't happen. And it's been freeing to be able to make a phone call. Hey, this is where it is. This is where it's going to be. This is what time when we get there. And okay, I'll make a call. I don't have to call and argue with somebody about things that are sometimes outside of the driver's control.
Yeah.
So it's been, all of it is just like, all right, you guys have it all. I have an appreciation because I've done that. I don't care to do that again. I want to retire here. That's it. And
which was my next question. What's the future look like for Ben Huminski?
Retire here, either as an owner-operator or sweeping floors in the office. Because my kids, when you have small kids, there are those moments where it's like, man, I hate being gone. But then at the same time, it's like, this is how I provide, and this is what I'm good at. And so it's that sacrifice. It's like, I can give you time or I can provide, but very rarely do those two intermix.
Yeah.
And
you think you guys will stay in Arkansas?
Yeah, I don't see why, unless y'all let me lease on and live in Alaska and fly back and forth.
So you'd go back to Alaska if you could? You don't like the 7 months of humid summer and mosquitoes?
You see me sweating? I'm sweating inside. No, I miss Alaska. Man, I start looking at what houses cost up there now, and it's like you become poor real quick, if I'm up there making some of what the wages are, but it all equals out. And life's expensive. Mm-hmm. And I can provide a better life for my kids running truck here for Oakley and living in Arkansas. What they have is that they're building that foundation and that structure. when you just transplant somewhere where you have no relatives and no nobody, it's tough. But
Yeah.
we're branching out, and
You got us.
Yeah. We see you often enough
Yeah.
to invite you to the barbecues in the summer.
well, yeah. So, but I mean, just it's a family here, and it really is. I have not come across an Oakley owner operator that I just was like, man, could you just go away? And in life there are those people. You're like,
Oh, yeah.
you're taking energy from me that I really could use. So, yeah, it's been real.
Last question or last topic. We don't have to get too depth, but I know a lot of people wonder how to manage money. And I talked to them about it in orientation about, hey, you're fixing to start making some money, but you better have a plan, because it can go out the door faster than it's coming in, and you are going to have problems here.
Yeah.
You are going to break down. Prepare for it.
Yeah.
We all know Christmas is coming, but we don't save money for Christmas presents.
Right. So I'm very structured in, like, my business gets paid. My settlement is not my paycheck. That's just that. And I know it works for some guys. I got kids and a house payment and car payments. I need to, I got truck payments. So I pay in my situation is a little different because I get some VA money that subsidizes a lot. But I pay myself a percentage up to a cap. And, I always hate the by the mile, because then I'm so focused on by the mile. But here, with Oakley,
You pay yourself a percentage
Of
of
net.
the check of the
Of
net
net.
of net
of
Okay.
net, up to a certain cap, because I don't really need more than that.
Got you.
And it's not that much. But again, I was taught that unless you have $30,000 in reserve sitting there, you
That's
need
what
to
I
be
was about to
saving
ask
more. And I've had old timers be like, yeah, you need 50,000. And I mean, now with the cost of labor and stuff and motors.
Yeah.
But I mean, kind of one of the bigger things was, if you don't have a savings account or a line of credit that will fix your truck at the most expensive repair, plus provide for you during that downtime,
Yep.
you don't have enough.
So if a brand new owner operator, say he's been a company driver for years, just bought a brand new truck or a used truck, new to him,
Okay.
and he leased on to Oakley, and he says, Ben, I don't know how much I should have, what kind of a nest egg I should have as far as savings goes. Would you ballpark? What would you tell him?
Well, and it's a little bit of a complicated answer, because like, you could say, well, you probably want to have 30, 40,000 sitting in savings. But how do you get there, right? Because the simple answer is a number. But how do you get there? Well, you got to be able to have a budget in your life and understand what your budget is, what your bills are, and how to live within that budget, and not, I got a $7,000 net settlement, I'm going to go put lights on my truck and a shiny chrome. That's all nice, but you got to get there, and you can't really skip rungs in a ladder, to get there. So it's like, okay, how much does my life cost? Let me add a percentage after that I should be putting away for some personal savings. For when a water pipe bursts in your house, and, well, you're just ripping up floor while you're home, because, well, that happens.
It's called discipline.
It is. There's a lot of financial discipline. And I mean, I wasn't taught it as a kid. I struggled with, I'll just put it on a credit card, or I'll just do this. And it's like, that is a black hole. And so it's, if you're not financially disciplined, then that, hey man, I did this, and then my truck broke. I don't know how I'm going to make my truck payment. Well, that's part of it. And I haven't always been great. I mean, I'm not sitting here on some high throne. Like,
No, you mean you made mistakes?
I make mistakes daily.
Me too. but we learn from them.
But yeah, and you have to continue to learn and grow from it. Like, all right, it's like, I was, my truck was down, my house flooded, and I'm like, really? Is this? And you know what? It's like, okay. I got to put something on a credit card, but I have a plan to get that gone, and it's been beneficial, but you got to plan out how you're going to get there. Because if you just look at a big number, but everybody sees a big check coming in and want to go buy ATVs and boats and all this other stuff, and there's a time and a place, but you got to get there, and you can't skip those steps in between.
Yeah, you got to have a plan.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. I definitely agree with that, and I think that's great advice to give owner-operators, especially new ones coming in.
Mm-hmm.
They need that because whether there is a set number for a lot of people, you got to. That's a really good point. You got to get there somehow, and or you're always going to be wishing.
Right.
Oh, I know I need $30,000 in the bank, but I just hadn't been able to get it done. And you got to have that discipline to do it.
Yeah, and don't buy houses without walking through them either.
Lesson learned.
Sounds like
Hindsight's
experience talking.
20/20.
Yeah,
Look,
that's right.
I remember that movie, The Money Pit.
You're living it.
My wife and I watched that the other night just because she had never seen it, and I was like,
this looks
does this make you feel better about our situation?
Oh, man, good. Thanks for sitting down
Yeah.
with us, Ben. Good information. You give a lot of good advice, too. You're well educated, and you've done some good things, and I hope people can learn from what you've been telling them here on this podcast. It was good. Megan, appreciate you. Thanks for hanging out with us.
I'm here Monday to Friday, 8 to 5. You just let me know whenever you need me.
And we'll have to get you some recruiting calls, Ben. You're gonna have to.
All right.
Put my number on the front of the screen.
Send her a few of your recruits that you're recruiting. Let her get in the game a little bit more.
Okay.
Right now she's just kind of dabbing in it there, and she's learning, doing good.
Make sure they're really nice before you send them over to me so they don't hurt my feelings.
Oh, man. Hey, thanks everybody for listening to the Oakley Podcast and watching the Oakley Podcast on YouTube. If you do, we appreciate everybody every week and all the information you give us, the feedback you give us. If you want to hear something in particular that you got questions about or you'd like for me to get somebody on, I'll do my best. Me and Annabelle work hard trying to get whoever we can on here to talk about, whether it's products or a company or more owner-operators. Those are my favorite. Getting more of our owner-operators on here, we'd be glad to do it. Y'all just kind of give us some feedback and let us know. And go back and I encourage you to go back and listen to some of our old ones. We really got some good episodes in the past that we've done and explained a lot of things about Oakley, but also just tell a lot of history and a lot of story about Bruce Oakley in general. And there's some pretty good information. And we got some good stuff coming ahead, too, in front of you. So we're going to have some good stuff this summer coming out. So be sure and check us out every week. Every Wednesday we drop a new one. And we appreciate you listening. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks.